morning. Thank you for coming. My name is Carla Bush. I am the Family Consumer Sciences Agent in Rutherford County for the University of Tennessee Extension. And this morning I have with me Sharonda Stiggers, who is our Family Consumer Sciences intern from NTSU this summer. So we're glad to have her, and we will let her do some teaching as well during this morning's Rutherford County Farmers Market Seasonal Eating presentation. I appreciate Justin on the camera for our YouTube recording, and I really do appreciate you all coming out this morning for this presentation. So, egg cookery really is near and dear to my heart. I thought it would be an easy, out of the park demonstration for me, which was good because I've had a busy week. But eggs are a very economical, nutritious, easy to prepare food. So I'm doing two very, I think, definitely very basic in boiling an egg. And then I also had a treat because this is my first presentation at the Rutherford County Farmers Market. I started here in Rutherford County in January. So with the market just being open, this is my first one. And I thought I'd make a lot of friends by doing an egg custard frozen treat. So I also want to tell you about the small appliances I'm using here, because you have to have the tools to do the cooking and the foods that you want to, because it does make your job a little easier. But of course, you know, I would not be a home economist if I didn't talk about eggs and their food safety. I mentioned that they are a nutritious food, they are high in protein, and you know, they have that reputation with the yolk having some fat, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, because an egg for breakfast can make you feel full longer because it is high in protein. And it can really be part of a healthy diet. I know, like I said in the past, they have gotten some bad rap about cholesterol, but it's like any food, you know, portion control. Don't eat a half a dozen for breakfast every morning, but you know, they are an economical, healthy choice any time of day, not only for breakfast. I posted on YouTube, not YouTube, I'm sorry, Facebook, on our UT-TSU Extension Rutherford County site. We have quite the celebrity that is helping advertise eggs right now. I don't know if any of you saw it. Did you see it? Yes! I was like, great! So you maybe you saw that. But Kevin Bacon is now advertising for the egg board. So talking about having bacon with your eggs. But I thought those were some really cute web movies, so I shared those on social media. But a concern with some people in eggs is salmonella, which is a bacteria, if present, can make you sick. And you really do need to be conscious of cooking and preparing eggs to the safe 160-degree temperature. People with health problems, or very young people, or the elderly may be more susceptible to foodborne illness. So that is another reason you'll see me point out a food thermometer, just to make sure that you use and prepare eggs and using safe handling practices. So avoid eating raw eggs. I know you've seen the Rocky movie where he was training and he cracked those raw eggs into a glass and ate them. Don't do that. Sometimes health shakes, you know, they used to use raw eggs, or even ice creams, eggnog, boiled custard. They used to use raw eggs. No longer safe to do that. So use safe egg recipes, and I will provide you with a booklet of those at the end of our session. But again, the magic temperature is 160 degrees if you want to show them the food thermometer. And the only way to know for certain is to use a food thermometer. It doesn't have to look, thank you, Sharonda. It doesn't have to look exactly like that. There's a variety out there, but you do need to use food thermometers. When you purchase eggs from your farmer's market or from the store, you need to take them directly home and put them in the refrigerator, not in the door. When you put them in the door, there can be some temperature fluctuation. Every time you open the door, it gets a little warmer in the door than it does in the main part of the refrigerator. And leave the eggs in their carton. They're less likely to crack in that packaging that they're in than if you take them out and put them in a different container or bowl. no need to wash the eggs. You can, the person the farmer has already done that for you before the sale. Raw eggs can keep in your refrigerator for 3 weeks, and we will talk about, fresh and aged eggs, because for some instances you want fresh eggs. Like when I was making this custard, I wanted fresh eggs. But for boiled eggs, I hope you recognize you may need eggs that are about a week old, maybe 2 weeks old. But they keep in the refrigerator for 3 weeks, fresh eggs in their shell. Once they're hard cooked, they can keep 1 week in their shell in the refrigerator. So I thought it may help for you to know the parts of an egg, because some people get, they learn the anatomy of the egg. So I'm going to turn it over to Sharonda to talk about that.
Okay, so here you can see the egg is labeled in its various parts. Right in the center we have the yolk, which is my favorite part. The yolk contains all your vitamins and your minerals there, and as Carla mentioned earlier, the yolk also is heavy in cholesterol. So if you want to reduce your cholesterol intake, you want to take out the yolk and make egg whites instead. The clear area outside surrounding the yolk is called the albumin, and you have your thin albumin and then you have your thick albumin. So your thick albumin, it carries your protein, and it's the thicker it is the more fresh that it is. So as it gets thinner, you can tell that your egg is older. So the thin albumin just spreads around that thick albumin there. So that's what we call the white of the egg. After you cook it, that's what turns white. And so the reason why eggs are so important is because they carry an array of protein. So with one large egg, you're going to get 6 grams of protein, and you're going to get only 70 calories. So it's high in protein and it's really low in calories, so it's really good. And it's a natural source of vitamin D as well. And it's one of the few foods that are a natural source of vitamin D. So it also contains vitamin B12, riboflavin, and choline. And it's also good for eye health and your eyesight as well. So the chalaise, I didn't talk about that. That is where the function of the chalaise is to keep the yolk in the middle. So you'll have it right here and you'll have it up there, and it just keeps it right in the center of the egg. The shell membrane is the protective barrier against bacteria. So that's what protects what you're going to eat, and that's what you crack before you eat it. And the shell is the outer covering of the egg. That's also part of the shell membrane, composed of calcium carbonate. And the color really doesn't affect the quality, and we were talking about that earlier this week. It's just the nature of where it is birthed from. So that's the part of the egg. Parts of the egg.
All right. The breed of the bird that is what she was looking at there, for the color of the shell will make a difference in the outside appearance. So 2 very, I thought, crowd-pleasing things to do, especially after the Memorial Day weekend. I was going to demonstrate boiling an egg. I talked to Diane, who is our master gardener volunteer in the back. Thank you for helping us being the hostess today. Boiled eggs are near and dear to my heart because they're so readily available, and I have 2 young daughters, 9 and 11. Both of them can boil an egg. So that just makes me feel like they can feed themselves for the rest of their life now, because there are so many things you can do with them. And I know over the holiday you may have had dressed eggs or deviled eggs, depending on which part of the country you're from as to what you call them. But one of the things about a boiled egg is I think it's one of the most simple things that a basic cook can learn to do. And you can make egg salad, dressed eggs, as I mentioned. It can be an ingredient in a green salad or other, so many things you can do with them. As well as eggs, just period. But I really think this is something even children can do. And that is one of my goals, is maybe to get people back into the kitchen and cooking again. So, and when they cook, I want them to be good cooks. This is like a lifelong goal of mine. I want my children and my grandchildren to think, man, she is a good cook. cook, right? So easy to do is boiled eggs, all right? And what I have is a small saucepan, and it has water in it already. This is an induction cooktop. And I'm not going to turn it on just yet. I get a little excited. You want to put your eggs in the saucepan and cover them with about 1 inch of water. And this needs to be cool water, so it's not warm or heated. So you put them in a single layer on the bottom of the pan, and when you boil eggs, you would like for them to be about a week, 2 weeks old. They boil better. They peel. They don't boil better, but they do peel better when they're about a week old. So I can get 5 in here without maybe even 6. I'm going to leave it at 5. All right. So you want them in a single layer, completely covered with water. And then as I put the eggs in, and I want to bring the water to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it. Now for induction, I'm going to put it on 1, very low heat. Versus if it was a traditional I might turn it all the way off. But I'm going to put the lid on and then let it set for 20 minutes. Now the publication I'm going to give you says 15, but I'm going from my personal experience. I like a 20-minute egg. And that way you know they're done. So the key also in a good boiled egg to me is immediately chilling the eggs. And that is why we have the ice right over here. So once they boil and I turn the heat down and cover it and let them set for 20 minutes, I'm going to take them out and immediately put them in ice water. Another reason boiled eggs, I went back to boiled eggs, was because I know of a restaurant in a small town who opened, and they were doing deli sandwiches, and they started doing salads, and it was great. We loved their fresh meat and cheeses and things, but when they did a chef salad and I saw the boiled eggs with that green ring around the yolk, I thought, I'm gonna have to talk to this restaurant owner, because that is overcooked. And one of the things to prevent that green ring is to immediately chill the egg. Once it's boiled, you can avoid that green ring around the yolk by immediately chilling it. Now, I always use ice water, and then if I'm not going to immediately peel them, once I've chilled them in the ice water, I will put them in the refrigerator and keep them in their whole shell, not cracked, until I'm ready to peel them and make whatever I'm going to make with them. Waiting for that to boil. I wanted to let you know that these eggs today came from David, who is out there from Rockvale, and he donated these eggs to our presentation today. So thank you to David over at the Rutherford County Farmers Market for that. He also gave us 6 of the fresh eggs to go into our custard. I'm gonna make this all the time, I'm telling you. When I practiced this before this presentation, my family was like, you've been holding out on us, okay? This is a frozen custard ice cream. And again, I mean, they used to make ice cream with, and it's looking really good, but they used to make ice cream with raw eggs. Again, not recommended to use raw eggs. But this was 6 fresh eggs in a saucepan with 2 cups of milk, sugar, and we used local honey, which I love honey. I mean, so much better, molasses and maple syrup and all those. Honey is my absolute favorite. And it is such a difference. Good honey, and look at the color of this one too. But good honey versus kind of the watered down sugar water honey. Have you ever had that? Is that not the most disappointing thing?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So, I mean, really flavorful honey. This is out of Manchester, Tennessee from George Martin. And he, again, has that 100% pure, raw, strained, wildflower honey. And he even has his Pick Tennessee Products label on there. So I appreciate that product being here at our market. But we used honey as a sweetener, and as also adding flavor. A little bit of salt, because if you don't add salt, I just don't think anything tastes like anything without salt and pepper. But we did not put pepper in this. We used whipping cream as one. as a 4-H'er who was helping me this morning said, well, that's not too healthy. And I said, it will be good. So you just, again, portion control, you know. And then, of course, we use vanilla. So we have just a basic vanilla ice cream. And I'm almost just tempted to serve it right now. But this is also one of my toys that my husband gave me. And I haven't used it a whole lot. But like I said, now that I have this recipe, I will be using it more. I don't know if any of you have seen an ice cream maker like this, but again, reflecting on Memorial Day, I figured there were a lot of boiled eggs and a lot of ice cream being made because I did have trouble finding, I think, the whipping cream. There was a run on whipping cream because it's used a lot in ice cream. But this is an ice cream maker, so you don't have to mess with all the ice and the rock salt. There is a container, it's a round container that goes inside, and you put that part in the freezer overnight and it completely freezes, and then you put that in and you add your ingredients, and then you have 2 quarts of ice cream. Ta-da! And so this has been cranking for, and it's smooth and it's looking pretty thick already. It just depends the consistency of how you want your ice cream. But this has only been in here maybe 25 minutes, and just building your anticipation, right? Because we will have samples of this for sure. Another reason I chose boiled eggs was because I mentioned that I started in January, and there was an article in the Daily News Journal, and it was Michael Shirley, who was the 4-H agent here in Rutherford County at the time, was quoted in it. So it showed up in our office, and I definitely got to, I looked over it. And the article was by Brian Wilson from the Daily News Journal, and he said, backyard chicken interest increases in Murfreesboro. Have you also seen that to be true? More and more neighbors having backyard chickens? So one of the things, they got a quote from the Rutherford County Co-op, and about 2,700 baby chicks were purchased last year from the Rutherford County Co-op. Now, they're not the only place that you can get them, but that was definitely an increase, up 700 or 800 from the year before. So we're seeing more and more about that. And Michael Shirley said that they're having more classes about backyard chickens, but some of the most popular that are going on with our extension office. So if you are looking into doing backyard chickens in Rutherford County, you definitely need to check with the codes of your city or the county and ask. But what the article stated, in Murfreesboro, they can have up to 8 chickens, turkeys, ducks, geese, or rabbits can be allowed on a residential property. The animals must adhere to the city's noise ordinance and must remain on the owner's property. No permits are required. Now that is the city of Murfreesboro, and that may also keep you from getting a rooster with the noise ordinance.
Is that in the county, Rutherford County too, or just Murfreesboro?
Rutherford County says chickens are allowed, though those people in subdivisions must adhere to the county noise ordinance and stay on their owner's property. So again, like this was an article from January. If there have been any changes, before you get anything like that, you definitely need to think that through. Where are you going to keep them? How are you going to feed them? If they're going to be penned, how they're going to be penned. If you have a dog, dogs love chickens. They like to eat chickens. So I had a niece who did the 4-H chick chain, which they still do here, and she also has a big dog named Jack. And Jack ruined that project for her one year, but she tried it again. So that's why I'm saying you need to completely think through how you're going to keep these birds, because dogs are going to be dogs. Can't ask them to be. So, Laverne, poultry cannot be allowed within the city limits. Smyrna, chickens can be raised on certain residential lots already used as farms that had livestock and poultry. And Eagleville, chickens can be raised on agriculturally zoned properties, though conditional waivers could be accepted. So like I mentioned, to give the 4-H chick chain another plug, that is available to registered 4-H club members in Rutherford County. If you're in 4th through 12th grade, contact the UT-TSU Extension Office if you're interested in information about the 4-H chick chain. So, I also have, when I was doing this, it's kind of funny how people feel strongly about eggs in some way or another. When somebody, and I can't remember who it was, said every time I crack open an egg, I have to remove the chalaza, because maybe it was somebody in our office, because Tiffany was shaking her head like, yes, I know who said that. But because their spouse thinks that that is the start of a baby egg. So when that was mentioned, and I thought, we are so going over the parts of an egg. So that is not what that is, and there's no need to remove that. But there could be, sometimes there are variations in egg color. There could be blood spots, and that is caused by a rupture of one or more small blood vessels in the yolk at the time of ovulation, but it does not indicate that the egg is unsafe to eat. And cloudy white, Sharonda mentioned that. If the albumin is a cloudy white, that is just an indication that it's a fresh egg, a really fresh egg. So that does not mean that, that it's unsafe to eat. A pink or iridescent egg white, or the albumin, indicates spoilage. So some of microorganisms which produce, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever seen cooked eggs that have a greenish or a fluorescent pigment. That is also, those are harmful to humans. So don't, the greenish microorganism. Now the color of the yolk is also of interest. Some people love those country eggs or the farmer's market eggs because of the darker golden color of the yolk. But the yolk varies in shades of yellow depending on the diet of the hen. And if she eats plenty of yellow-orange plant pigments, then the yolk will be a darker yellow than if she eats a colorless diet such as white cornmeal. Artificial color additives are not permitted in eggs. So my sister, the niece who had the chickens, and she still has eggs, and she feeds her chickens table scraps. So she can tell you that when she feeds them like asparagus stems or rind from a cantaloupe or things like that, it definitely has an impact on the size of the egg and also the thickness of the shell. So their diet does affect the size and the thickness of the shell. One other thing before, see how thick it's getting? All right, I'm going to turn this one off. One other thing I wanted you to know is that an egg can float in water. That means its air cell has enlarged significantly to keep it buoyant. And so if the egg floats, that means the egg is old. It's still perfectly safe to eat or safe to use. We have that 3-week window, but at the end of 3 weeks, it may float more than a fresh egg. So this is the air cell at the bottom. Like I mentioned, as it gets older, the air cell gets larger, and that can cause the egg to float. So that's how you can tell your newer eggs from your older eggs. So those older eggs, again, good for hard cooking.
I always thought a rotten egg would float.
A rotten egg? I haven't heard that. But rotten, I mean, it's really old. It could be more rotten. I would prefer, I wouldn't go more than 3 weeks on eggs. So, I'm going to give this to Sharonda. If you want to take it to the back. And make friends with ice cream. If you want to take this in. So, all right, I'm going to go with the USDA recommended 15 minutes. So this stops the cooking, and it also makes them easy to handle. Agent Whitney Danhoff in Bedford County, who she recommends while they're in the water, and if you do plan to immediately peel them, to go ahead and crack them a little bit, and that water can get in there, separate the shell, the shell membrane from the egg, so that makes them a little easier to peel. But again, I think the biggest thing that you can do to make them easier to peel is, like I said, use a week-old eggs, at least a week old. And this is another thing that I talk about. My girls know how to boil an egg, but this is something that kids can do in the kitchen. They love eggs. Josie, when I practiced at home with the custard, there's 6 eggs that go into that. I don't know what it is about cracking an egg. Kids love it. So she got to crack the eggs and then add the ingredients and stir it up, because it does, I'll tell you, it takes some stirring in the beginning, constant stirring over low heat before the custard gets to 160 degrees. But kids love that, and they also love peeling eggs, which it seems like, I have to give a shout out to my mother-in-law, who I absolutely adore. I've been married 15 years now, and I have a degree in family consumer sciences. I can cook. Do you know what I bring to every family occasion? Dressed eggs. Like, that's it. I don't get to make anything else, which I guess is a compliment. They like them, so I'll take it. So another, these are a week old, and they peel. Sometimes, like you've seen fresh eggs where they'll stick, right? And then you have your, I think in something I read, they said to break it on the air sac, and usually the air sac is on the bottom. And then I just try to get my thumb under it and take it off in big sheets. And like I have done so many of these, I feel like I'm a professional egg.
You're an expert.
Oh, thank you. I could have been doing that the entire time, I want you to know, but I had some, I tried not to use those. What are those, puns? Wordplay? But you'll see lots of that in the publication I gave you. Become an extra special cook by using. All right. I'm glad my county director could join us for the finale of having the boiled egg, right? All right, and if there are any other questions, you're welcome to ask me. Stay afterward. I'm glad you enjoyed the custard.
Thank you for such a wonderful presentation. Excellent job.